What up guys, Phantom here, back with episode 19 of my F1 2019 career mode, as we are going to Mexico City for the Mexican Grand Prix of round 18.
Now until the lights go green for the Mexico Grand Prix qualifying. So let's get ready and see who has that pole position winning performance in them this afternoon. And I'm here, of course, with Anthony Davidson on what has turned out to be a very pleasant day indeed. No weather to interfere, no problems on the track, so absolutely no room for error.
That's right, Crofty. It's looking good out there at the moment. Each team will have their own game plan for this session, and of course, once the cars leave the garage, they'll be under parc fermé conditions, so any last-minute adjustments need to be done right here and now. Beyond that, it's all up to the driver. Who can keep their tyres in the right temperature? Who can hit their apexes? No race fuel on board these days, of course. These are the fastest cars we've had in a long, long time, and it's right here in qualifying where they're at their absolute peak. Let's get started.
As we start here in Q2 in the stadium section, at the end of the lap, it's about to start our flying lap as we easily made it out of Q1 as we go down one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar. It is massive as we come down to the stadium sections, which is one of the tightest sections on the F1 calendar. As we come to this like awkward like 90-degree corner as we go down to 7th position, and we stay there as we actually finish ahead of our teammate Weber as we head on to Q3. As we start here in Q3 with a minute 50 left in the stadium section, as we almost lose the back end there. Wouldn't have been very good for our flying lap if we weren't even going the fastest we could through that last corner there, as there are cars trying to come out to get their final chances. We actually get caught up a little bit behind Norris, which was one of the cars coming out of the pit lane, as he's kind of held us up here a little bit. He's kind of taken the air off our car. As we cross the line, we will be P5 ahead of Bottas, but as the session ends, we will finish behind them, but in a very solid 6th position as we move on to the race.
The air may be thin here in Mexico City. The atmosphere is anything but. The crowd have been chanting and singing, not just this afternoon, but throughout the entire weekend. There's a great love for Formula One here, and no small amount of expectation. Let's hope today's Grand Prix can meet it. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. They must be starting to feel the pressure at this point, Ant. Surely. There's a real shot at the title on the cards here, but one error at the wrong time, well, that could throw it all away.
True enough, but that pressure goes both ways. A failure or a mistake at this point could spell the end of their championship hopes, but they know their rivals are in exactly the same situation. Let's just hope the title is decided in the purest of ways.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas and Perez, Norris, Weber, Albon and Daniel Kvyat, Stroll, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo and Russell. Giovinazzi, Kubica, they've taken a grid penalty. A Haas and Nico Hülkenberg, Magnussen and Devon Butler starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
As we sit here on the grid in P17 because we have basically brought a brand new engine to Mexico, as the flight lights are out and everybody else behind us is people with even more grid penalties than us, but as we automatically get moved to 18th as Hülkenberg flies past us, as we're going to look to the inside and dive down dive bomb about everybody, and we get absolutely hit by Russell as we're going to give it right back to him and force him out and not let him run me over as we outdrive Kvyat and his Toro Rosso as we come down here to the start of the middle sector here as Stroll and Albon are going side by side, as we're going to pick Albon's side as he'll have the inside for this double right-hander as we're alongside Stroll, and we should be able to outdrag him. As we come onto the straight here for the first time, something becomes very apparent as we are really down on power. We're just not very quick at all, as we are getting blown away by the Toro Rosso, which I think has the worst engine on the grid, and we have the best, so I don't know why. But in here we are very, very good in this middle sector as we're going to get down the inside of Albon and pass him, but we are very good in the middle sector with a pretty average aerodynamics and chassis. But as you see here, as our teammate Weber has 212 miles an hour down the straight, while us, we have only 200 with DRS, so that's 12 miles an hour, as championship leader Leclerc is out of the race with an engine failure. So he'll be losing lead of the championship as we come through here in the stadium sector, as Norris brakes a little bit earlier than I expected. I kind of locked up and had to go down the inside of him as we make the move, but we are going to be absolutely toasted down the straight with no DRS, with Weber, our teammate, automatically pulling away, and Norris is not that far away from us, and we're going to make him go around the entire outside of us, as we're going to pull back and try to get some slipstream and then dive way down the inside, Ricky Ricardo style, as we make it stick and did not end up in the grass like he did in the actual race, as Norris is still right behind us as we're going to make him go around the outside again, as we brake a little bit early, don't want to dive too far in, as we leave him space, and then we leave him space on the inside, and we're out dragged him to this double apex right-hander. At the end of lap 7, we are coming in to make our one and only pit stop of the race, as we get it barely slowed down and luckily not to take a penalty. We have not gotten a penalty at all this season from from the pit lane, so that's good, as it looks like we are only one to pit on that lap 7 here, so we'll come out 18th out of 19th, as I think Hulkenberg has already pitted, as he is 2 or 3 seconds behind us. As on the next lap here, as we come past the pit straight, as a lot of people are pitting, as we come past and we end up back into 11th position here, as Weber is behind us, as we catch up to Russell, who wheel banged us on the first lap, as we've almost gained a full pit stop on him, as Raikkonen's coming out of the pit, so we're going to try to use his slipstream to get past him here, as that should tell you we're having trouble overtaking a car that was coming out of the pits, as we have to dive bomb him coming into turn 1. Not as bad as Norris there, as Perez right in front of us luckily got out of the way in time, blew up right in front of us, as we come onto lap 16 here on the side straight here, with Verstappen not getting DRS on Bottas. We are going to try to make a run on the outside as we go way too deep, and we're going to go in too narrow there, and not wanting to lose our front wing, we kind of just gave up on the attack there. But on the next lap, in the same situation here, we're going to actually go and thread the needle and go down the inside of him and not outbrake ourselves, and he just completely turns in on us, and we're not having any of that, as we're going to go around the outside of both the double apexes. We kind of went out a little wide, but it will actually give us a little bit of momentum coming down here into the left to start the Estes section of the track. As on the very last lap here, as Verstappen and our teammate Weber is actually managed to catch us from about 2.5 seconds back, as we're going to dive bomb Verstappen there, as we are kind of getting the elbows out because we are really dangerously low on fuel, as we've been trying to catch Bottas and Verstappen there in the later part of the race, as Vettel has won the Mexican Grand Prix, as we have we've been able to stabilize our fuel, as Verstappen is still right behind us, as long as Weber as well. But out of the last corner, we will hold on to 4th position, which is the second best result of the season.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Ferrari are at it again, an excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there. Let's have a look then at the driver's standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Today, I think I'll give it to the Haas driver. They pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The current championship leaders still hold top spot, but that gap is getting smaller. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.